Constitution of the United States of America. By some, he's been called controversial.
I'll keep my freedom, I'll keep my guns, try to keep my money and my religion too. Now, keep in mind that some of my guests have been approached by Homeland Security or FBI saying, why are you going on the Clay Douglas show?
My message to those guys, if they're listening this morning, is go get a cup of coffee. Maybe you'll learn something.
We both took the same oath, to defend the Constitution against all enemies, foreign and domestic. I don't recall there being an expiration date on that. I'm going to keep my big VA, keep my friends the same, keep the government out of my business, and y'all can keep the change.
He is the free American, Clay Douglas.
We know what we need. We know who to blame.
Catch the Free American Hour, weekdays at 7 a.m. Pacific, 10 a.m. Eastern.
I'll keep the USA and y'all can keep the change.
For the podcast and more details, visit www.freeamerican.com or catch the podcast by phone by calling 832-999-8621.
Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to another edition of the Free American Hour. I'm your host, Clay Douglas. And folks, today is my 66th birthday. And considering everything that I've gone through, it's pretty fucking amazing that I'm alive and well and talking to you. More is happening. More is happening now. And I think we are moving into a period. Now, keep in mind, I am a 20th century rebel. I probably, for the last half of the 20th century, I've been on the extremist side. Okay. Yeah. I'll see 90, you idiots. Yeah, I'll live all of you. But I started what I do here, this radio show, this website, this magazine, these books. I started these to try to inform the American people about what was happening around them. Why? Because the mainstream media wasn't talking about it. The people like David Duke, the people out there that were really trying to do something, these people have all been relegated to the extremist side, and I think we need to keep doing exactly what I've been doing. Now, folks, over the last 20 years, Ron Paul was a subscriber of mine for 10 years. I am reaching people. There are hundreds of people every day, thousands of people that listen to my radio shows on the various sites that we're on. Today's my birthday, so I'm going to talk about me today. I've had a lot of the most intelligent people in the world on my show. You can go to my website right now and you can see those. You can listen to those radio shows, and maybe you'll understand that I listen to all points of view. Don't necessarily agree with it, but I still listen to it, because that's really the most important thing, folks. If you close your mind to dogma, culture, pressure, religion, or government, you have become a slave. You have virtually become a slave. And everything that I've done at one time or another, everything I proposed, right down to Liberty Villages, has somehow become the target of government. And I've got up on my website right now links that will show you that Southern Poverty Law and the ADL have infiltrated the FBI, they've infiltrated the CIA, and they are working for the other side. Now, the other side happens to be Jewish run. They make good slave masters. They make good camp superintendents. And then they use this whole psychological, psychopathic propaganda and molding to turn half of us into Arizona, into prison guards, and the other half into prisoners. This was a study at Stanford University. Look at the Stanford experiment and understand what's going on. Okay. Yeah, the chemtrails are real. We've got ways to combat it. And we've got water filters up. Right now, up on my website, you can go there and you can get a water filter that will take the radiation out of your water, out of the water you're drinking. It'll take the fluoride out of the water you're drinking. It'll take the other chemicals out of the water that you're drinking. It's right on my website. freeamerican.com. These interruptions here, you see these trolls coming in here? These are Jewish trolls that do not want you on the state. Your people ought to be lined up and hung for what they've done. And I'm going to share that with you. I'm going to share that with you. There is evidence, it is no theory that long-established and much heralded Jewish religious teachings assert that the Jewish people will ultimately come to rule the world, that they are superior to all other people, and that ultimately they will be essentially the proverbial master race. Here are facts about this bizarre and dangerous philosophy from Michael Collins Piper's book, New Babylon. Now, this may be uncomfortable listening for those who have never been exposed to the type of philosophy outlined in ancient Jewish edition. In 1932, Michael Rigger, Ph.D., assembled a remarkable book entitled The Jewish Utopia, which he dedicated to the Hebrew University of Jerusalem, which he described as the symbol of the Jewish utopia. Rigger's volume is a remarkable document, which the late Robert H. Williams, American nationalist writer of the 1950s and 60s, decided as a compendium. Oops. Rigger's volume is a remarkable document which Robert H. Wells, American nationalist writer of the 50s and 60s, described as the philosophy behind what Williams called the ultimate world order. That is the New World Order. Now, I reported on this in the Free American the first time George Bush uttered it. What is remarkable about Higger's book is that the copy that Robert H. Wenham first discovered and then popularized among American nationalists was found at the Abraham Schweitzer collection of Hebraic and Judaica of the Texas University Library, donated by the Kala of Texas rabbis. So, Higger's book was no mere think piece by one isolated writer. The organization of rabbis in Texas thought so highly of the work, they donated that copy to the State University's library. Dr. Higger's book was a compilation of Higger's study of what Williams described as the sum total of the philosophies, teachings, and plans and interpretations of the foremost Jewish rabbis and tribal leaders over a period of some 2,500 years. since the time of the oral law and the beginning of the Babylonian Talmud, in which could be found what Williams described as a double standard for Jews and non-Jews, and its nationalistic, militaristic interpretation of the Torah, of course, being the 5 books of the Old Testament called the 5 books of Moses. The book talks about the righteous and the non-righteous. In the end, according to Higger's interpretation of Jewish tradition, the non-righteous shall perish. Higger wrote, "To understand rabbinic conception of an ideal world, it will help us if we imagine a hand passing from land to land, from country to country, from the Indian Ocean to the North Pole, marking righteous and or wicked on the forehead of the 1,600 million inhabitants of our earthly globe. We should then be on the right road towards solving the major problems that burden so heavily the burdens of the suffering humanity. For mankind should be divided into and only 2 distinct and unmistakable groups, namely righteous and wicked. To the righteous would belong all of which God's wonderful world is offering. To the wicked would belong nothing. In the future, the words of Isaiah in the language of the rabbis will be fulfilled. Behold, my servants shall eat, but ye shall be hungry. Behold, my servants shall drink, but ye shall be thirsty. Behold, my servants shall rejoice, but ye shall be ashamed." This is the force of the prophecy of Malachi when he said, "Then shall we again discern between righteousness and the wicked, between him that serveth God and him that serveth not." Now, it's clear through Higger's writings, based on his analysis of the works of the great rabbi and Jewish spiritual leaders, that the righteous shall be the Jews and those who choose to align themselves as servants of the wicked, and the Jews shall be those who are perceived by the Jews to be standing in opposition to their interest. Are you understanding, folks, that this is exactly what is happening right now to me? Has been happening for quite some time. And I want to deal with that for a moment. But I want you to understand where all of the demonization of me came from. You need to know about that. Now, folks, I'm picking up some new publishers. I'm doing some new things. We've changed the website around a bit. We have people that have homes. We have people on yesterday that had generators. We have a lot of things going on. It's all up on the website. We also have holistic water filters that filter out fluoride, radiation, and metals and more. And this product will certainly pay for itself, and it will help keep me on the air. Now, today is my birthday. I've been under attack for 25 years. Let's play this.
The Southern Poverty Law Center has really focused on accusing people of extremism, of hate, of being members of hate groups, of being radical right, and they use the term terrorist a lot, they use the term neo-Nazi and racist a lot, but they very seldom define these terms, and they very seldom apply them with any precision. In fact, these are terms which they have found they can use with great political effect by keeping ambiguity and keeping definitions hazy and applying them across a broad range. In fact, they have done this so successfully for the last 40 years. They've been around since 1971. And they have succeeded in raising so much money, hundreds of millions of dollars, and obtaining favorable coverage from the media that they have become supremely arrogant. As I mentioned, during the Clinton administration, they became illegitimately wedded to the Justice Department under Janet Reno, at that time Attorney General, and Louis Freeh, head of the FBI, and they started bringing their people in to train the Department of Justice and the FBI, and then through that they have now put together training programs for local and state police. Now this is a Department of Homeland Security report that 2 years ago caused quite an uproar, and it's entitled Right-Wing Extremism, Current Economic Political Climate Fueling Resurgence in Radicalization and Recruitment. That was published by the Department of Homeland Security. When it came out, it caused an uproar among many conservative groups as well as many military veterans groups because, among other things, this DHS targets the military. It says, quote, returning veterans possess combat skills and experience that are attractive to right-wing extremists. DHS INA, that's Intelligence and Analysis, is concerned that right-wing extremists will attempt to recruit and radicalize veterans in order to boost their violent capacities. It goes on to say that right-wing extremism can be divided into those groups, movements, and adherents that are primarily hate-oriented, based on hatred of particular religious, racial, or ethnic groups, and those that are mainly anti-government, rejecting federal authority in favor of state or local authority, or rejecting government authority entirely. It may include groups and individuals that are dedicated to a single issue, such as opposition to abortion or immigration, end quote. Now, among other things, this report referred to veterans coming back from Iraq and Afghanistan, and then it made allusion to the Oklahoma City bombing and Timothy McVeigh being a veteran from the first Persian Gulf War.
Now, folks, all of this, I covered it as it was happening. We had Charles Key, we had the people that were there, we explained to you the truth about Oklahoma City. All of that I did. We did back then. Charles Key, I still got a signed copy of his book out. Now, I'm gonna stop here for a moment. Because I'm going to somebody explain to the poor brain dead Jew. Jesus. Cool. You wish. That sounded like a Jewish wet dream, you know. Did you see Clay and a yarmulke? Now, for a lot of you folks out there don't know who the hell's talking to you right now. I don't have a guest on today, so I'm going to stop for a moment here. And I'm going to tell you that these people have been doing this for you for 2,000 years, and I've been recording it for 2,000 years. I've got a real good memory. Stop it. And I'm just going to take a moment. Today is my 66th birthday. They've tried to kill me 3 times in the last 8 years. I am Clayton R. Douglas. I've been a writer for many years. I started my first novel over 40 years ago. That one will be finished this year. Got a premise down a long time ago, but I had to do 40 pages of research to finish it properly. I moved to Florida after traveling to 49 states to write the Trevor Cameron series about a biker businessman in Florida. The series came into being after one of my favorite authors, John D. MacDonald, died. I'd read every one of his Travis McGee novels. I liked the way he used a color in all of his titles. The first novel in my series I called One Bloody Alabaster Eye. The second was Deadly Flashes of Silver. My character's mother, Molly B., appeared in MacDonald's Deep Blue Goodbye and slept with Travis. Her son was my character. My original plan was to name my character Trevor McGee Hamilton, but I met MacDonald's son, Maynard, from New Zealand, at a conference in Bahia Mar to honor his dad, and told him of my plan. Actually, I showed up at an event that you were supposed to come as your favorite Travis McGee character, and I came as myself. And he said, "Who are you supposed to be?" I said, "Oh, I'm the son that Travis never knew he had. Trevor Cameron." Well, Trevor McGee at the time. So that led to communicating with his attorneys for a month or two. Their conclusion was that I'd done nothing wrong and that I wrote just like John D. I said I should have. I read everything he wrote. They forwarded my manuscripts to Maynard, which he returned unopened. I dropped McGee for Cameron. My character does speculate that John D. met his father Shannon in Bahia Mar, based Travis McGee on his father Shannon. Maybe I should have just kept the name and sued for child support, you think? To do the research, I drank in all the same bars as Hemingway, fished the Gulf Stream, hung out in the biker bars and Miami Beach high-rises. I wrote for Easy Rider, Biker Chic, American Free Press, and Motorcycle Industry. All things considered, I was doing well. Then I made a mistake following a life-changing event. Outraged at the Waco incident, I swore I would not watch something like that happen again on television. I started the Free American magazine, this radio show, and the militia movement in New Mexico and around the country. I underestimated the ruthlessness of the people, the Jews, running the country, and did not perceive myself as any kind of threat to anyone. However, those moves made me the target of the ADL and Southern Poverty Law Center in publications like Armed and Dangerous and False Patriots. Bear in mind that during all of the hate directed my way, I did nothing wrong. I was not arrested, and I had face-to-face communication with sheriffs, FBI agents, governors, and presidential candidates in pursuit of stories for my magazine. In the 10 years that I published the Free American, I watched the Patriot militia movement demonized and destroyed through infiltration and misdirection from outside sources. I came to the conclusion that the elite were right in saying we do not have the intelligence to rule ourselves. Nothing has changed. Rick Light, founder of the well-regulated American militia, after being on my show to talk about divisions in the Patriot Unity Coalition, was savagely attacked by a former associate who accused him of being a child molester. Last week, someone I never met accused me of being a child molester. These are negative forces floating around the battle of principalities, and most negatives directed at us come from within our own families. God forgive them, for they know not what they do. I had started Arizona Thunder Riders magazine's addition to my nationally distributed Free American magazine. Then came that second life-changing event, a simple motorcycle accident, or an attempt on my life. It's a moot point now, and debatable then. Due to a phone call 30 minutes before to my office that pinpointed my location en route, this accident occurred The month after we learned that George Bush had allowed the NSA to tap all our cell phones, the NSA subbed the work out to 2 Israeli companies, Amdocs and Converse. All this happened under the cloak of the Patriot Act and in the shadow of 9/11. Perhaps I made a mistake. Referring to the incident on the air over worldwide shortwave as an exaggerated case of Jewish lightning. After 4 months in hospitals and being drugged into unconsciousness by our stellar medical establishment for 3 of them, I got out. I thought everyone around me was crazy. I thought the doctors were trying to kill me. Could have been the drugs. Could have been the concussion, or even brain damage. But after 8 years of trying to put something back together, I have come to the conclusion that I may have been right. The doctors in 3 hospitals gave my family little hope. They were told that I might never be the same. They were told by the doctors to make arrangements for long-term care and get guardianship of me. Make sure he doesn't drive. See that he takes these pills. I took one that knocked me out. I passed on the pills, told him the only medication I needed was a joint and a Harley. Now, that didn't sit well with my family. My wife thought the doctors had saved me. I thought they tried to kill me. They wanted me to sit by a creek and fish. I wanted to go back to work. I felt like I'd been drugged needlessly for months and then presented with a $750 million hospital bill for 3 broken ribs. Oh, yeah, my collarbone was cracked a little. Was it a conspiracy or just business as usual? My sons are strong and smart. Cameron helped me start Thunder Riders. Trevor came back from college in Hawaii to help. They were stepped in to help my wife Janet run Arizona Thunder Riders. They were able to keep Arizona Thunder Riders magazine going while I was out of it. An amazing feat in itself. I asked them, how'd you do this? You never expressed an interest. I never showed you the programs. They figured it out, Dad. But that could not keep they could not keep the Free American going. They simply did not have the knowledge to do it. They believed me to be an invalid, not the case. The guardianship went nowhere after the investigator declared me to be the most well-recovered head injury patient she had ever interviewed in 7 years. My wife left me the next day. I should have handled things differently once I got out of the hospital, but my brand new Harley was totaled. My Free American magazine was gone. My family soon followed. My sons went back to the lives they had created before the accident. They loved to ski, and Arizona did not hold any fond memories after 3 months of seeing their house spotter in an induced coma. Once I was out of the hospital, they tried to force me to follow the doctor's orders. I fought them. I fought the controls and tried to restore my life the way it had been. My sons had no idea of the force or the ruthlessness that the Jewish-controlled security forces within our government use in dealing with their enemies. Speak up in regards to the Jewish connection to 9/11 made me, speaking up in regards to the Jewish connection to 9/11 made me a domestic enemy to the Jewish crime cartels you call the CIA and FBI. My family's perceive me the way the doctors try to portray me. They say I drove them away, and that could be true. The same thing is happening to patriot families all over the country as we get nearer to the total police state for many of the same reasons. We see this as a war. I see this as a war, and our families see us as crazy. Divide and conquer is the oldest maxim in warfare. My wife's sister was dying in Tennessee. Janet went to see her, stayed for her funeral, and then went to work for her father, who threatened to disown her if she came back to me. She came back to Arizona long enough to pack and leave. I thought I'd failed. I thought I'd done something wrong. The story of the attacks on me are detailed in my book, the book I wrote while recuperating, Mystery Babylon, The New World Order Unveiled. I was disappointed in the response of the patriots